What's up, dirt bags? The markets just did a total 180 on us today, and it all traces back to one Oval Office pivot. Trump steps back from Powell threats, dials down tariff talk, and suddenly Wall Street is in rally mode. But this isn't just headlines, it's what the whales are doing that matters. Today we're breaking down every key news driver, Tesla and Nvidia flow, whale blocks and dark pool prints, and what comes next in this wild macro game that we're currently stuck in. Now let's talk about our scoreboard for the day today. We saw the S&P 500 rise about 1.85%. We saw the Dow Jones rise 1.26%. We saw the NASDAQ even getting on the party with a 2.7% rise on the day. And Bitcoin hit 94K today. Gold pulled back to 32.90 as risk appetite returns to the market. And the 10-year yield slid to 4.3%. Now, what were some of the catalysts here? One, Trump stated that he had no intention and has no intentions of firing Powell. Quite frankly, I don't even know if he had the power to do that, so whatever. Number two, we saw tariffs on China to fall from 145% to the 50 to 65% range. We also had the Wall Street Journal leak, which fuels speculation of tiered tariff systems coming out, and GDP expectations were slashed to 0.1% by Goldman Sachs. And mind you, it was at 0.18% prior to this. Now, why does this matter? With Powell staying, monetary policy is going to be stable. Maybe. Lower tariffs equals relief for multinationals and tech alike. And risk on tone dominates the session today. We also had tech just ripping. The Mag 7 came out and started to act like the Mag 7 again. We had Tesla up 5.7%, with Musk vowing to spend more time at Tesla and less at Doge. We also had Meta, which was up 4%, Nvidia up 4.3%, and Amazon up 6%. And this is on trade optimism and earnings tailwind as well. Intel even got into the action with a 5% gain after workforce reduction report ahead of its earnings call. Industrials and aerospace, we saw BA with a 6% gain after beating expectations and selling off the Jepson unit. Now, let's talk about some of our macro hell that we lived in today. We had the S&P global PMI drop to 51.2, which is the lowest in 16 months. Services PMI saw 51.4, which is up from 50.2, which means it's slowing. Or no, it went from 51.4 to 50.2. Home sales, we saw an increase of 7.4% in March, but affordability still crushed by 7%. Mortgage rates. And we have the Fed Beige Book. Firms plan to pass tariff costs on to customers, unfortunately. So, looks like stuff is going to get expensive, folks. And on the Fed Watch, the Beige Book shows inflationary pressures from tariffs, Powell's job secure for now, and the Fed credibility is restored short term. And the next rate decision hinges on April 30th GDP report, plus the inflation trends at that time, because remember, we want to get back to 2%, and we're very far from that. Now, on our earnings side of things, we saw Tesla report today, or yesterday, after market close, and they missed on EPS and revenue, but the stock is up on the Musk pivot. Elon Musk vows to spend less time at Doge and more on Tesla. The robotaxi update mass production target is by 2026, and cheaper EVs are still on track. The analyst reaction to this were Evercore ISI, mindful Elon, back in focus, we love it. Global equity said pause on AI spend expected. And some of our big options flow that we saw Tesla 290 calls get 44.3 million, and we saw some Tesla other calls with multiple sweeps hitting the tape. Speaking of, by the way, Let's talk about our options flow with Investor Central Club, where, by the way, we're running a deal. Use the code 125 to get $25 as your first month payment. So you're only gonna pay $25 for your first month. Go ahead, use that code 125. But let's go ahead and dive into some big money flow here. So, some big options we saw. We saw SPY. Some big calls came in at, let me pull our premiums up. Yeah, it was a relatively quiet day today. SPY 525 puts dominated the tape for 620. It looks like some people are still expecting downside on that SPY movement. We're seeing 533s come into play as well. Some of the call notables for SPY were the 540s that also came in as well. We also saw QQQ with over 172 million at the $430 level. We saw Nvidia, Meta with bullish call sweeps as well. And we also saw IWM 21 prints for 80 million plus a total mix of calls and puts. Is this rotational hedge playing we're seeing? Maybe. Now, what's driving this? Lower tariffs equals chip and tech margin boost. Musk's Tesla commitment equals sentiment reversal, and the drop in the 10-year to 4.3% is good for the tech scene. So that's why we were seeing a lot of tech inflow today as well. Now, let's go ahead and look at our dark pools for the day as well. And with our dark pool data, this is just showing us what the big boys were doing behind the scenes without trying to get caught. You know what I mean? So we had some notables. SPY, we saw multiple blocks at the 527.11 level with a $66 million print attached to each of them. QQQ, we saw 430.08 with 172 million plus in multiple prints across the tape. And XLK saw 251 million, and SGOV saw 646 million, as we can see up here. These are not retail trades. Institutions are positioning ahead of Powell, GDP, and earnings. Over 20 multi-leg trades in IWM, SPY, QQQ are signaling positions for market regime shift here. Now, let's go ahead and wrap this whole thing up, because that's all that really happened today. So what did we learn here? Trump is feeling the market. Whales are back in risk on mode. But everything hinges on April 30th GDP and the next Fed meeting. So keep that in mind, people. Smart money sees opportunity. But do you? Drop a comment. Are you going to buy the breakout, or are we fading the hype here? Let me know down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe, because we decode the flow and the news daily over here at Trades and Gains. See you guys in the next one.